What's the worst movie of all time? The worst movie I have ever seen was Tychus. It's some shitty made-for-TV disaster movie from the late 90s with Dennis Hopper. As a kid, I rented it because the cover had some cool image of NYC being destroyed by a tornado. Well, first of all, the movie has no tornadoes. Like every disaster scene just has meteors imposed on disaster scenes from other movies with CGI, like they literally just took scenes from Dante's Peak, put some CGI meteors on it, and called it a day. And their acting and plot are atrocious. No movie has ever disappointed me so much in my life. It's a movie I think about parkour or martial arts. I remember seeing their ad in the cinema, and they said this is not an Oscar-worth or any award-worthy movie. But if you enjoy parkour or martial arts, I really forgot, then you will definitely enjoy this movie. I told my friend it can't be that bad, so let's watch it on release. When it got released, the speakers didn't work. Only one speaker on the left, and it stopped working, and one speaker on the right started to work. The movie was ass. Everything about it sucks. Food Fight, an animated movie from 2012 that looks like it was animated in PowerPoint-ish settings. It's visually repugnant. There's a creepy bat that keeps sexualizing the chocolate squirrel, and not a single one of the performances are good despite having a very talented voice cast. The final battle scene is a 30-minute long food fight that just reuses the same 6 shots of bad guys falling down over and over and over again. Gonna go a little less known and say Going Overboard with Adam Sandler. It's just not funny. The way it's filmed makes indie films look well shot, and the only redeeming factor is Milton Berle has a cameo as himself. Any other bad movie can be made fun of and enjoy looking at you. Plan 9 from Outer Space ... not this one. I've never met a single person who enjoyed this movie, and if you say you do, well, I won't call you a liar, but I'll heavily imply it for sure. Brokeback Mountain, not for the homosexual intercourse, but because it won 3 Oscars. There is no way that movie would have won anything had it been a heterosexual love story. It was sad, depressing, poorly acted, the sound was all over the place, and it left me thinking, what the fuck was the point of this? Somehow, people decided it deserved to win awards. It bothers me. DTW, I support the LGBT community. This film seemed to be very disparaging toward that community. Anyone who says anything made by a major studio within the last 20 years has no idea what a truly bad movie is. Production value alone makes those better than everything on Tubi and the depths of Amazon Prime. Truly terrible movies are bad at everything. They look terrible, the acting is atrocious, the writing is god-awful, they make no sense, etc. Oh no, Star Wars didn't go the way I thought it would do. Fucking who? That doesn't make it the worst movie ever. Not the worst, but I absolutely fucking hated the newest Matrix movies. The first 3 were fine on their own, I really enjoyed them actually. Rewatch all of them multiple times, but the 4th movie was such an obvious money grab it wasn't even funny. No effort whatsoever was put into any aspect of the movie. They literally just resurrected characters so that they'd have enough material for the movie. Should never have been thought of, let alone produced. The answer to this is Tiptoes. Cast Matthew McConaughey, Kate Beckinsale, Gary Oldman, Patricia Arquette, Peter Dinklage and David Alan Grier. McConaughey and Beckinsale are dating, but McConaughey is hiding a secret. It's about his family. He is the only normal-sized person in a family of little people. He has a twin brother who is played by Gary Oldman. You read it right. His little person twin brother is played by Gary Oldman. It's bad. Me paint to stiffen hat brim and derailleur fix so I can shift all gears without worrying of overshift and coming off the first gear in jamming. And the few minor things I mentioned yesterday or day before. It's hard to answer something like this because generally if I hear a movie is bad, I don't go out of my way to see it. Also vehemently disagree with putting movies like The Room or Battlefield Earth on these kind of lists because those can actually be enjoyable. Worst movie I've personally seen. Probably The Dictator. Aggressively unfunny and nothing redeemable about it. Probably the only movie I got so bored and annoyed with I just turned it off. Akechi Kitano made some great hard-boiled Yakuza movies, though not hard-boiled, which was a John Woo classic, but I can confidently say that his movie Getting Any is the worst movie I've ever seen. Surprisingly, it has an audience score of 60 on Rotten Tomatoes. Some people differentiate between the two versions of him: Takeshi Kitano, the proper filmmaker, and Beat Takeshi, the slapstick comedian. Don't watch any of his comedy movies. Maybe not of all time, but my most recent one, God's Not Dead, my husband wanted to rewatch it a few months ago and wanted me to see it. I'm not religious at all, but he is, so I said sure, why not? He talked so highly of it. The acting was atrocious. I had to hold back laughing or rolling my eyes every few minutes because I didn't want my husband to think I was being intentionally rude. But while that movie was so bad, I wanted to say Star Wars Holiday Special, but I found one even worse, called Pot Zombies. People smoke glowing green weed and turn into zombies. That's the whole plot. No one comes to save the world from the zombies or anything. The next scene is just more people smoking glowing weed, with the same effect. Its only redeeming quality is that you can watch the whole movie on fast forward and not miss anything. The age-old debate, but if we're talking about the ultimate dumpster fire of cinema, I'd have to throw Plan 9 from Outer Space into the ring. It's so bad, it's become legendary. With its cardboard sets, cheesy effects, and plot holes big enough to drive a spaceship through, it's a masterpiece of terrible filmmaking. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, but somehow you just can't look away. If we're talking movies that are terrible, that were made to be terrible, hands down Velocipasta. I actually almost threw up from laughing at one point because I could not take it seriously. In terms of movies that actually tried but were filled with bullshit, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I remember even my dad, who wasn't even into a TLA, walked out of the theater in disappointment. So, as a Finnish movie called Big Game, starring Samuel L. Jackson as the President of the United States, he gets saved by a 13-year-old who is out trying to prove himself as a hunter. I don't remember much more, but at the time I just remember thinking, what the hell am I watching? And wondering why Sam Jackson was in a movie made in and by Finns. No offense to the Finnish people. Deathbed. Just trust me on this FAM. The writer, producer, director George Barry was apparently trying to make a serious movie, and from a technical standpoint, it was shot really well for a low-budget horror movie. The premise, the acting, so bad. It would be ironically funny if he wasn't trying to make a serious movie. I tried to watch Please Don't Destroy the Treasure of Foggy Mountain recently, and couldn't finish it. It was a struggle to get halfway through. I can say it's the worst movie ever, but it was the worst movie I've seen in at least a decade. It was unwatchable to me, and I've sat through a lot of crap before. Movie 43 is pretty bad. The one that pisses me off the most is Dr. T and the Women, mostly because the setup was pretty good, and then it turned into complete bananas for the last third. It really seemed like they accidentally flushed the ending down the toilet and had already paid the writer, so they just handed it off to a bunch of 8th grade boys high on PCP. Really? 200 answers and nobody's mentioned Zardos yet. Come on. Sean Connery in a bright red diaper for 2 hours. So many pieces of pop culture: Opeth, Jenna Torches, Rick Morty, etc. reference Zardos to the horror and delight of the 6 people who catch the reference. The penis shoots seeds and makes new life to poison the earth. Cannibal Holocaust, 1980. Horrible acting, bad writing and racist. It was just for shock value, gratuitous rape and violence, plus real animal torture scenes. It is just trash. The creators had to go on trial in Italy to prove that it wasn't an actual snuff film, which is hilarious because the murder scenes look fake as hell. I just watched the scrotum on Prime. That's a solid 1.5/10 for me. I was hoping it would at least be an entertaining for 10. Maybe get some purposely funny scenes. Or if it wasn't that good, then to get some comically bad scenes, then it would at least be worth it. But it's not. It was bad. Not fun bad. Maybe it's cheating because it's bargain bin trash. But God's Not Dead easily takes the cake for least entertaining movie ever made. They turned a chain email FWD from grammar into a movie, and embellished it with a meaningless overarching story in order to pad the time to technically qualify as a movie. Movie 43. Half the actors were tricked or blackmailed into filming it. Opens with Hugh Jackman on a dinner date. He takes off his scarf and has testicles hanging from his chin. Goes on to feature Chris Pratt agreeing to take the next step in his relationship with Anna Faris pooping all over her. Okay, I'm going to name a movie that you have never heard of, but I saw it in a theater, and it was easily the worst movie I have ever seen. It was called The Alchemist, or Wiki The Alchemist film. I went almost solely based on the title and poster, and the poster LED. Jack and Jill, and it's not even close. Actually, either that, or this movie I saw on Netflix many years ago called Don't Look in the Cellar. But Jack and Jill may be even worse, since you can at least laugh at the other one. I was brutally straight-faced for all of Jack and Jill's 13-hour runtime.